All right, we are live in the bottom of the ninth inning. Not really ideal, obviously. If you're going to go live on a homestand game, usually you want to go live in the top of the inning because that would indicate that you would either be at least winning the game. At the very least, winning the game. Maybe tied. But the Reds, they find themselves down 7-0. And Nick's wife, they may be having they might be bringing another child into the world. Maybe. This is all maybe, speculative. Don't want to sound the alarm, so nobody say congratulations here too soon. But Nick, I think, is going to check that out. And you got me tonight. Just the guy you want on a night where you need some positive support. The good news is that Bubba Thompson's up to start the bottom of the ninth. If there's anybody that you would like to start off the bottom of the ninth inning when you're down 7-0, it's Bubba Thompson. And it's not because you're looking to start a rally. It's because you're looking to get the game over faster. So that's here nor there. Not anybody. It takes a special talent to miss a 91-mile-an-hour fastball middle in the big leagues. And that's what we see today. I have a lot moving, a lot going on here. So it's just not going to be a 96 right down the middle. Swing and a miss. Here's the thing. If you think this is going to run smooth, you're wrong. I got like I said, there's a lot that actually goes into this, and I'm just trying to make sure, 1, we're live. 2, we have graphics. 3, I'm having some kind of competent thought, which I have a hard time doing when I don't have to do these things. So there's that. But we got one out. I wore the same. I kind of wasted the shirt, if we're being honest. I thought about not wearing the shirt because it seems like a night in which, but you know what? You stay true. Unfortunately, the Joe Nuxall Classic, Prasco Park, shout out Stuart Fairchild. That was a good ball. And of course, it's a line out. But you know what? Shout out to Stuart. It's a good swing. Good play by Rojas. Anyways, shout out to Prasco Park. Unfortunately, I think that this shirt's going to have to go. So, yep. Probably going to be a lot of chat tonight, if we're being honest. Not really anybody to bounce my thoughts off of, so it's just going to be really, who knows, helter-skelter. And the crazy thing is right now I'm thinking about this game. I don't want to say I'm not mad. I know I'm not mad. I just, there's really not a whole lot to get overly excited about. Hunter Green, I don't think you threw the ball incredibly terrible. I do think, I'll save this for the show, but I do think that there's some things that we need to at least admit about Hunter Green. If you're a Hunter Green fan, I think, or a Hunter Green stan, I'm a poet and I didn't know it type thing right now. But if you enjoy Hunter Green, you think he's going to be good, I think we all at least could admit to one thing that we'll get to here in just a little bit. This guy, I tell you what, when you're up 7-0, this is what you do. You just throw middle fastballs and you say, here it is, hit it. Best of luck to you. And sure enough, here we are. So, Hoffman with the set, the wind, the pitch, and that should do it. That's a check swing, and they call him out, and that will do it. The Philadelphia Phillies come into Great American Ballpark on Game 1. And they take care of business, winning 7-0. And we'll talk about it and more right after this because we have a show to do. Now, this is the part where Trace has to dig around and find it. And I'm not going to bore. Trust me, fam. We're not doing the full deal here. Okay, we're not doing the full deal. So just got to bear with me. And
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! Reds win! Line to the right field. Judges the first run ever with 4 home runs in a game.
All right, welcome into a losing edition of Chatterbox Reds. As I just mentioned, if you're just joining us, Nick Kirby had some things going on in his life that hopefully is great news. We're hoping that he will enter another child into this world, and maybe that is going to be the case. Maybe not. It might just be a false alarm. So again, as I mentioned before, let's pump the brakes on maybe the big congrats and all those types of things. But best wishes to Nick and obviously his wife and their families. So that is that. And it's also a good reminder, perhaps, to try to be positive. You know how Nick spins everything into a positive. I'll try to intellect. I don't know what I'm trying to use here. Inject, I think. I'm going to try to inject some Nick Kirby into the show a little bit, to be fair, right? Some positivity. Maybe that's just a good reminder that this is just baseball, and there are other things in life that you can enjoy. And that's that. Because if you watch this game and you were trying to get any enjoyment out of it from a baseball perspective, it just wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. First game all season that the Reds get shut out. They lose to the Phillies 7-0. And we'll get into it. I'll do my best to give a box score recap. The bad thing is when you get on MLB here, and they do a nice thing called a summary, and they give you key moments in the game. Let me give you the key moments of the game here if you didn't get a chance to see it. In the top of the third, Johan Rojas hits a triple on a line drive to center field. That gave the Phillies a 1-0 lead. That would give their win probability, the Phillies, a 70% chance. That jumped it up 8%. Nothing else happened that was relatively important until the top of the ninth inning, according to MLB.com. And that's when Cody Clemens, shout out Roger, congratulations to him and his wife. Cody Clemens homered on a fly ball to right field. And who else would score besides Nick Castellanos and Bryson Stott? And that would really break the game open. It was sitting right there at 4-0, you were thinking to yourself, maybe there's a puncher's chance in the ninth inning. 7-0 makes it to where it's a lost cause. So let's get into it. Box score recap really quickly from Hunter Green's perspective. I don't know what you make of Hunter Green's outing, to be honest. I think that you could argue that there's a couple things that we could be positive about. I thought some of the balls that he gave up, some of the hits he gave up were relatively soft, but I'll also say he powered through a few innings, right? As much as we want to maybe get on him about not being able to get through some innings, he got through 7 innings tonight, right? I know he gave up 7 hits. Yes, he gave up 4 earned, 6 strikeouts. Not a horrible line, though. Not a horrible line, and then they obviously threw Legumina to the Wolves because the bullpen is what it is right now. It's spent. So shout out to Hunter Green. For all the times that maybe people want to complain about the fact that he digs up or burns the bullpen, he did not do that tonight. Here's the thing about Hunter Green. I think if you're a fan of Hunter Green, you usually point to a couple things, right? The first thing that many people point to if you're a fan of Hunter Green is that he's young, and he's got time to develop. And if you compare him to other guys, Andrew Abbott, right? He's younger than Andrew Abbott, yet people probably think Andrew Abbott, he's going to have some growing pains, this, that, and the next, because he's obviously new to the league. Well, if you're just going by strictly age, then obviously Hunter is in a spot where there's time for him to grow, or there's room or opportunities for him to grow. If we could at least admit one thing, though, whether you're a fan of Hunter Green or maybe you're not a fan of Hunter Green, and if you're not a fan, then I guess I'd ask, what's the point outside of maybe just always being frustrated? But for those of us that are hoping for Hunter Green to take the next step, I think we can all willingly admit we have to find a way to develop a third pitch. It's a necessity. It's not even a hope for or a wish for. It is a necessity. And the thing is like, I'm not even suggesting that third pitch has to be dominant, or I'm not suggesting that third pitch even needs to be something that you throw a significant amount of the time. It does need to be something that changes the hitter's eye. It does need to be something that changes the perspective or basically the mindset of a hitter, or at least have something in your repertoire that will make them think in the back of their mind, I can't just sit X pitch. Because right now, in an at-bat, you can sit on any pitch that he has, right? And we know what those are. He's either got a fastball or a slider. You can sit on one of them the whole at-bat, and you're eventually going to probably get that. And I'm not suggesting for a single second that there aren't pitchers in Major League Baseball that have had amazing careers with just one pitch. Because there has been. But Hunter Greene doesn't have, and people might kill me for saying this, but Hunter Greene doesn't have an exceptionally great one pitch. He doesn't have like a Mariano Rivera cutter. That's not in the deck of cards right now. And I don't think it will be. I don't think that and again, being young is one thing. And learning on the job is one thing. But at some point, you are who you are. I don't know, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but Hunter Greene physically, is he going to get that much better? Is there a ceiling there that you think to yourself, you know what? He's going to fill out. He's not filling out. The kid is, I mean, the kid's, he's the prototype of what you would want an athlete to look like almost. He's got all the tools. The question now is can he refine what his God-given ability allows him to do? And you could argue, you know what? He can do that. But when? And again, tonight's not the night to sit here and be like, oh, Hunter Greene's got a major problem. Again, I'm just pointing out there are levels to this, and I'm hopeful that at some point he takes one more step up. And that step up is simply, in my mind, having the trust or having the ability to throw a third pitch. Because I think he has the ability right now to throw a third pitch. It's for whatever reason he doesn't trust it. And if you don't trust it, then you might as well not have it. So now we're in a position where we have to ask ourselves, are we going to... I would, and this is where maybe I'm wrong in saying this, I would rather Hunter go for it. Throw the splitter, man. Just throw it. And maybe you throw it 12 times and it spikes in the dirt all 12 times. But at some point, we got to go for it. And we got to give ourselves a chance to learn on the job. There's only so many times that you can sit there and suggest, in this offseason, I'm going to work on a splitter. Or this offseason, I'm going to work on whatever pitch it may be, a changeup. Well, the offseason, obviously, there's only so many offseasons here. And I would argue that if we're gonna go into a game and only utilize two pitches, I don't think we're ever going to be in a position where we're going to get to where we ultimately want to get to. And I say that as in, like, I'm not talking a high-level ace. I'm talking about an above-average pitcher. An above-average pitcher. Because when you face really good teams, I just don't see Hunter Greene having a ton of success against great lineups with just two pitches. Almost ever. And maybe I'm wrong, but I would have a hard time believing that. And here's the thing. Can you carve up some bad offenses with what Hunter Greene has? Yes, 100%. But at the end of the day, what's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to win the World Series. The ultimate goal is to win in the playoffs. When you get into the playoffs, when you get into the World Series, and heck, maybe I should backtrack. Let's just talk about the NL Championship at some point. Like, I'm not trying to get ahead of ourselves. Maybe we'll talk about the wild card. I don't care what it is. You're going to play competent teams. You're going to play competent lineups. And you can't go through 2, 3, 4 times in the order and expect to have success on a consistent basis with what he currently has. And again, I'm not suggesting tonight's the night that, oh, you wave the white flag and Hunter Greene isn't. Hunter Greene threw the ball fine. He threw the ball fine. But again, it continues to feel like guys are just sitting on pitches. And then you get to a point where you think people are suggesting that maybe, just maybe, he's tipping pitches. I don't know if he's tipping pitches or if guys are just sitting on a pitch. You know? It's not hard to get. It's not hard to guess what number somebody has in their hands if they only have 2 options. And I'm not suggesting he has 5 pitches, but it's a lot harder to guess what number they have when they can use all 5 fingers when they have their hand behind their back. So we shall see. And again, I'm not here to jump all over Hunter Greene and suggest that he can't get better. But as sad as this is to sound, I'd rather start to struggle a little bit throughout the first half of this year with Hunter a little. And again, that's no guarantee he's going to struggle, but I'd just go for it, man. Throw it. Throw it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? And I'm not. Again, hopefully people don't take this the wrong way. I'm not out on Hunter Greene by any stretch of the imagination, but we all have to agree, or we all at least have to admit that something has to change a little bit to get to where we all would hope Hunter Green would end up being. All right. Jumping forward here, Reds offense. I think that's the bigger story, if we're being honest. And I don't know where to go, guys. Like I don't want to sound like I'm giving up. I don't want it to sound like I'm super pessimistic. But let's just go through. Let's go down through it. Where's the help? You know, I mean, I'm looking back through the box score here, looking down through this lineup. Fairchild's leading off the game, right? And that's because obviously a left-hander's throwing. I don't have a problem with that. But again, I guess I don't know enough about baseball to know. But I mean, our DH is Martini. Our DH is Martini with the left-hander throwing. And I know people are sick right now, but like, I'm not going to overreact because right now it's just survive in advance mode. Like this isn't our team. This isn't our team. I could get upset and I could get mad if this was our team. Like, if I looked up and down the lineup and we continue to struggle, we have 2 hits tonight, we had 1 hit the other night, we had no hits going into the 6th inning the night before. It's been a struggle. And it got masked a little bit last night, right? It got masked a little bit the other night because they ended up breaking the game open and they scored some runs towards the end. But let's face it, it wasn't looking good for a considerable amount of the game. So this is a clear issue right now is the Reds offense. But there's no fix. And that's the part that I think that I don't want to hammer it home because then I'll make everybody feel bad. But you look up and down this lineup, and I'm going to make some people depressed, but you ready for it? And I listen, I know batting average isn't the best stat to use, but you got Fairchild leading off, hitting 250. You got Steer, obviously, in the 2-hole, hitting 295. But after that, you ready for this? 189, 197, 190, 119, 213, and a whopping 118. And you know what's crazy is Martini's hitting 213, and I'd argue Martini hitting against left-handed pitching is probably significantly worse. So it's not a shock that this is where this is where the Reds are at. But the cool thing is this: the Reds are 12-10. The Reds are 12-10. And I think that's the thing I feel maybe the most satisfied with because I don't know how good they are right now. I venture to say I don't think they are good. Check out the chat here really quickly, see where we're at. I've been rambling on for quite a considerable amount of time. Mark suggests that there's not many other options for Espinal and Bubba. The only thing I'd say to that, Mark, is like if there's not, then I'll tell you this. Then I must be a fool for how many baseball players exist in this world. I must be a fool. Because if that's the only 2 guys that are left in the entire world, the entire universe, to play for the Cincinnati Reds, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Bubba Thompson has to be. I'm not doing it tonight. Listen, I don't think it's a big deal. Okay, the Reds, they lose 7-0. We'll move on. We'll go to the next game. But let's not sit here and act like Bubba Thompson. Let's not act like Bubba Thompson. I don't care. And again, Bubba, it's no disrespect to Bubba. I'm not even trying to be rude to him. I'm just saying, like, if we can all look ourselves in the mirror and collectively say, if we were a good team, I would even say good. Let's just say we're a little bit of above average team. Heaven forbid I compare us to the Braves. Heaven forbid I compare us to the Dodgers. Heaven forbid I compare us to like a Yankee or an Orioles or someone like that. Could you imagine thinking that you have a good team and a guy like Bubba Thompson walks to the plate more than 5 times a week for you? I couldn't. That seems remotely impossible. So here we are. And that's not even going to Kevin. I almost said Kevin. You know what? I'll take the blame for some of this because I thought to myself when this offseason when Kevin Newman obviously was let go, I thought Kevin Newman, in my mind, was the barrel. I did. I thought it was the bottom. Boy, was I wrong. I'll tell you what. I feel like with Kevin Newman, I was the old preppy little boy sitting at the country club, thinking that I had a cold turkey sandwich that wasn't very good, and I thought that was really, really the low life. I thought that was the bottom of the barrel of life, and then I got dropped off, somewhere where people are less fortunate, and I'm looking around and I'm like, man, this is what it's like to have Bubba Thompson on your team. But the good news is the Reds are 12-10. I'm going to keep reminding us all of that. All right, DSC and Game Time. For those that don't know, DSC does an ad. It's called the Deep Drive of the Day. But I don't know if you know this, but there was no deep drives of the day today. The only deep drive was people trying to blow off some steam, perhaps after watching. The good news is this. I was going to say, after having to watch all that, but they did it fast. They did it fast. If you're going to die, let's die quick, man. 2 hours and 4 minutes. That's getting it done. Where are we at here? Game Time. The Game Time app. If you want to go down to the Reds game right now and watch this team play, my best guess is that you're going to get a pretty good deal. A pretty good deal. You should get one if you're not. But if you're looking for tickets of any kind, please visit the Game Time app. Use code CINCY, CINCY. That is CINCY, CINCY, for $20 off your first purchase. And download the Game Time app. 2 clicks. They got lightning deals. They got it all, man. They got a very nice, clean app that you should just have on your phone at all times, just in case you're ever thinking about going to a game last minute. Favorite part about the Game Time app, quite frankly, is that you can get tickets literally until right around first pitch, and then obviously everything closes. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm going to give you a little inside baseball. My favorite thing to do is get the tickets off the Game Time app, check the MLB Ballpark app, and then you can basically see where all a significant amount of tickets exist, and then maybe just maybe sit somewhere different, because you want to check out the different vantage points throughout the facility. It's a little insider baseball. Just an idea for you. Tough night tonight. As I check the chat, are the Phillies as good? I guess that's the question too. Are the Phillies really good? Because we can obviously give them some credit. But I don't know how good they are. I know they're okay, but they just went back-to-back series against the White Sox and the Rockies. So that helps out significantly. We took a series from them last time. I know they're hot right now, guys, but I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say if they're good or not. I just got a random text from the Ohio Toll Services. We've noticed that there's an outstanding balance of $11.68. I guess I'll have to take care of that. Nick sent me a message. He said Hunter Green gave up 1 run in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Ranger Suarez continues his dominance, not just of the Reds, but this season. He's now up to 25 consecutive scoreless innings pitched after tossing 7 shutout innings, allowing just 2 hits and a walk. That's impressive about Ranger Suarez. And I think Ranger Suarez is very good. So that's why I'm not overly concerned. The question I think we all have to ask ourselves collectively is how, if you run up against a decent arm, is this what it's going to be every time? We can't keep complaining or complaining. We can't keep making the excuse that, we ran up against a good arm. Now, I will say, this isn't our team. This isn't our lineup. This is not a fair lineup to judge. So that's why I'm not being overly concerned. But we can't continue to sit here and be like, well, it was just they had good arms. Well, that's what happens when you start to play decent teams. And if you want to do anything meaningful in Major League Baseball, like win playoff series, you're going to face good arms. You don't get to play the White Sox, the Rockies, and the Nationals to get yourself to the National League Championship Series and the World Series. That's not how it works, as we all know. I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good do I think this team is? 10 being that they're going to win the National League, 1 being that they're going to lose 100 games. I genuinely think we're at a 5. I think we're at a 5. Sometimes I do wonder how we got here. Ellie De La Cruz leading off. Matt McClain hitting in the 2-hole. Spencer Steer hitting in the 3-hole. CES, maybe you could argue, hitting in the 4-hole. Ellie hitting in the 5-hole. Who am I forgetting? I mean, this team has a very good lineup. Like, it's sickening. It is sickening. Ellie, Marte. Candelario. Yet, we got Stuart Fairchild leading off. Tyler Stevenson hitting in the 3-hole. Bubba Thompson hitting at the bottom of the lineup. Espinal hitting anywhere. Doesn't matter. If he's in the lineup, it's worthless. How did we get here? So is what I wonder at points. But I mean, I know how we got here. But disappointing. The Reds have lost 7-0 tonight. Am I upset about that as much as I am just the disappointment of the fact that I look at this lineup up and down and it's just so significantly different than what I thought in March? That's where maybe I get my heart broken a little bit. People are asking if we can bring up Mike Ford. At this point, I'll be honest with you. I don't care anymore. Like I was thinking to myself today, like, okay, are you going to miss out on Bubba Thompson at all? If we miss out on Bubba Thompson, then I guess I'd live with it. I'd live with it. How much longer does Espinal get? I mean, genuinely. That's a serious question. I mean, I don't know, man. Like this is the major leagues, right? Like this is the big leagues. You only get so long on a competent team. Like you can't keep running these guys out here. Like, and maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe the water will find its level and I'm selling a stock at its very, very, very lowest point. And sure enough, right when we sell it, it'll end up rising back to what it was or what it used to be, and we lose out on all that money. But it just feels like it's not going to get a whole lot better for those two guys. And again, just because Espinal might go out there and raise his average 25 points, so be it. So he goes from 118 to 140. Is what it is. Montas, I know Nick put this in the rundown. I did not get a chance to see. You can obviously in the chat let me know if you've seen any news. I didn't see any news. I assume that he's fine. I did see that he had some swelling on his arm. So we'll get kind of that up to speed. I don't know, maybe if this rundown was in from the other night when Montas obviously threw, and maybe we talked about Martinez coming in. Who knows? Show's off the rails. No Nick right before the show. Show's off the rails. Thank you. So now he's on the 15-day IL. All right. Great news. Thank you for that news. Are you serious? So we're going to miss him for 2 starts. Oh, man. I have a question for the chat. Would you give up well, let's say for the next 30 days, if they play, next say 30 games, the next 30 games, would you give up if someone said you're going to win, you'll go 14 and 16, 13 and 17? Let's do 13 and 17. Would you take 13 and 17 over the next 30? I'm going to make it a chat poll question of the day. I'm interested to see because that's kind of surviving, right? That's kind of surviving. 3 or 4 games under 500. I don't know, man. We got a lot of this is going to be a good poll. This is going to be a good poll. Would you give up 13 and 17? Just okay. There we go. 13 and 17 over the next 30 games. I want you guys to look at the Red schedule, by the way. I want you to look at the Red schedule before you answer this. All right? I want you to look at it. And if you haven't looked at it, I'll give it to you right now. This Reds team, I mean, I tell you what, Major League Baseball, they just got to get better. Yeah, their websites, man, it needs just a little bit of intuitive nature would be cool. Let's see here. All right. Cincinnati Reds. They got a 3-game set still left. Obviously, they lost. They dropped the first one. They got 3 games against the Phillies. They then go on the road. They play the Rangers. Okay? Then they have the Padres. That the Rangers are a 3-game set. Then they go and play the Padres for a 3-game set. Both of those are on the road. They come back home, and who do they get? They get the Orioles, and they get the Diamondbacks. 2 3-game series apiece, so 6. That's a 6-game homestand over a 7-day stretch. Then they go on the road to the West Coast again. They play the Giants 3 times, the Diamondbacks 3 times, and the Dodgers 4 times. They then finish out the month with the Padres at home and the Dodgers at home, and then they catch the St. Louis Cardinals on that final homestand before the month of May is up against the Cardinals. This is what I'm talking about with setting somewhat realistic expectations. With all due respect, man, do we not think 13 and 17 is fantastic? I mean, with this lineup, with what we're dealing with right now, %60 says yes, 40% currently says no. But I think we're in a position right now that we got to ask ourselves, what is it that we expect out of this ball club? And I think being realistic is being around 13 and 17. And listen, I'm not here to say that it's not impossible for them to play a little bit better baseball, but this is, how they tell you sometimes in life, oh, you can't win a tournament, and I'm using a golf analogy, but you can't win a tournament in the first day. Can't win it on a Thursday, but you can lose it on a Thursday. I don't know how much I believe in that, but I will say this little stretch of the season, it can get away from the Reds. It can get away from the Reds. And I don't mean to say that negatively, but, for all those folks that are like, I'm not going to really pay attention until the middle of the summer when the kids get out of school, it's not a big deal. We'll figure it out. It'll all even out. I think that would be a bold-faced lie right now. This is going to be the most important 30-day window of the rest of the season for the Cincinnati Reds. Now, we might try to convince ourselves later in the year that there's a better window or a more important window. Certainly, people are going to be like, well, the pennant race at the end of the year, if it's relatively close, we'll take the cake no matter what. It's like, well, they all count the same. They all count the same. And I would say that there will be no point in this season, knock on wood, hopefully, no point in this season that this team will be and this franchise will be more tested than they are over the next 30 days. So, and you know what? I'm not trying to make us all like super sad on a day in which the Reds lose 7-0, but I do want us to set realistic expectations here before this whole thing gets started. Let's be honest with ourselves. This is a tough stretch of baseball, and I hate to say this, but we are in a position right now where if you are another team, you want to catch the Reds right now. And that's the other thing about Major League Baseball that's a little bit of luck, right? Is like, when do you catch teams? Do you play the interleague teams when they're hot, or do you play an interleague team when they're struggling to find, their identity, or they're struggling because they have guys out, whatever it may be? This part of the season, you 100% want to catch the Reds right now. So it's a matter of how well they're going to do when the back's up against the wall, because their back is going to be up against the wall this next month. All right, moving forward here, let me get into kind of our final topics of conversation. Let me backtrack here. Obviously have the Phillies tomorrow. That is a 6:40 first pitch. If you are, let me get the probables of this right now. Let's go into StatCast here. How many hard hit balls we have today? You guys want to talk about hard hit balls? Let's see. It's hard to do on the fly. Oh, Cincinnati Reds. Anybody want to take a guess on how many hard hit baseballs? Anybody? 4. 4 hard hit baseballs. Oh, I lied. 5. 5 hard hit baseballs. Anybody want to take a guess on how many hard hit baseballs the Phillies had? $14 hard hit baseballs. Reds 5. One of those came off Hoffman in the final inning. Tough is what we'll call it. Very, very, very tough. Moving forward, though, as I had mentioned, the Cincinnati Redlegs are going to have more than likely a lineup. I hate to say very similar, but that's what it's going to be. Christopher Sanchez, he's going to be the starter, and then Andrew Abbott's going to be the starter for the Cincinnati Reds. For those that aren't familiar with Sanchez's game, he's got a little four-seam sinker, throws a cutter, throws a slider a good amount of the time, has a changeup. Changeup's obviously pretty solid. I don't feel good about any of it, if we're being completely honest. How could you? And I'm not trying to be rude, but anytime a left-handed pitcher throws against this team, I don't know. So Christopher Sanchez, he's got a 2.5 ERA, 8 walks, 25 strikeouts this year, and 4 starts. So he's going up against Andrew Abbott, 4 starts, 1-2 on the year, 2.7 ERA, 7 walks, 17 strikeouts. So Andrew Abbott's throwing the ball well, but I got to remind everybody, Andrew Abbott also had the luxury of throwing the ball. And I'm not saying Sanchez didn't, but Andrew Abbott had the luxury of throwing the ball against the White Sox, which will help out your cause. All right, any final parting thoughts here from the listen, I will say this. If I know that I'm on the show tomorrow by myself, I will be better. I will be better. Not making excuses. Nick obviously had to bow out pretty late here. But we'll be back better than ever tomorrow. And the fear I must have, and I must say, I must leave all of you with this, is that I just want you to temper your expectations for your own heart. You know, if you're going to go into this next 30 days of baseball and you think that the Reds are going to play 500 or better baseball, I think you're setting your expectations way too high. You're starting off your family trip to go on vacation and you think that nobody's going to get in arguments. It's a bad idea to do. Super chats. Let's get to them here really quickly. You know what? Pause the music. Z-Corp Alpha with a $20 bomb said the Reds recall Casey Legumina, not Tony Santillan. After Frankie Montas hits the IL, Legumina, unlike Santillan, is part of the Reds' 40-man roster. Legumina was optioned to Triple-A Louisville prior to the start of the season. Thank you, Z-Corp Alpha. I think he's just providing some nuggets there for me. Z-Corp Alpha also says the ownership gets cozy with certain players. A true owner puts their foot down. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm with you a little bit. I think that there are times where maybe there are certainly times where franchises give some guys the benefit of the doubt. And that's usually because they've invested either a significant amount of money in them or they've invested a lot of draft capital in them or they drafted them high. Usually those things go hand in hand. And that's how life goes in general. If you put an investment into something, you're going to try to see it all the way through until it's absolutely, shown that it's incapable of providing some type of return. I don't know if the Legumina and Santillan Santillan. Why can't I say his last name? Big Tone. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know if that's the hill I'm going to die on, and whether or not they want to keep one guy over the next. I don't know. Michael Rolfe says 6-4 the last 10 games. Perspective is important. Tonight is one game. Live for another day. Nothing is more important than family and health. Sending good vibes and prayers and whatever positive wishes to the Kirby family. Thank you, Michael. These are all very true. And many of you are our family, and I appreciate that. I mean that wholeheartedly. You guys are in here every single night. We enjoy the Reds together. We're obviously hoping for the best. They are 6-4 in their last 10. But the quality of competition, as they say, is about to level up. It's about to level up. You know, when you're in Mortal Kombat or you were playing maybe Mario Kart, we're not playing on the easy level anymore. So if we go 6-4 in the next 10 after tonight, starting tonight, or maybe even starting tomorrow, I don't care when we start it relatively in tonight or tomorrow, I will be fired up. Fired up. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong in thinking that we won't get there. We'll see. But as always, like the stream. Go check out the podcast. Give it a 5-star review. I'm about to do some cleaning up. Maybe Nick will do some cleaning up on the podcast. I don't know. I got to figure out what's going on. Might be bringing a child in the world tonight. And you know what? I will tell you this. For all the people that used to listen to this podcast in the morning, your boy Trace here, he's got a lot going on. Some would say too much stuff going on. You might just get the raw, edited version of this podcast. And if so, you're going to have to like it for at least a day. You're just going to have to like it. But as always, go Reds. I'm going to talk over this intro because I mistimed it, and I don't care. I don't care. But I love all of you. I appreciate you. I'll be better than tomorrow. The Reds have to be better tomorrow. The Reds have to be better. I mean, it's almost impossible not to be. 2 hits. Two hits. We'll go for 3 tomorrow. Love y'all. Probably not the best show we've ever done, but it's a show nonetheless. Take care. Go Reds.